this episode, I'll hike to another popular waterfall in the Great Smoky Mountains National Park, Grotto Falls, by the way of Trillium Gap Trail. But first, I'd like to take a little detour and talk about maps. I realize that most hikers these days rely on hiking apps on their phones, and the mapping features included on those apps as their primary resource if they need it during hikes. At the same time, I've always been adamant that we should take paper maps with us on hikes, especially longer hikes. My logic is primarily that you don't have to worry about batteries dying or lack of cell service if you have a piece of paper in your pocket. There are also other possible emergency uses for that same piece of paper. If I get injured or lost in the woods and needed to start a fire, I could burn the paper to help get the fire started. If I got lost in the woods, I could tear it into small pieces that would be visible but small, and I would leave them periodically in the trail as a sign for any rescuer who might be trying to find me. Anyway, I thought I would make you aware, that is, if you're not already aware, that the U.S. Geological Survey has a free online topographic map tool, and that it can be used when planning hikes. I like to use topographic maps because they give you a very realistic understanding of the elevation gain that you'll experience on a hike. I'll include a link to the website in the show notes. It's pretty easy to use. First, you select the geographic area that you want to map. You'll likely have to zoom in a bit to get to the map that you want. Then choose the date of the USGS map you want to download. Be aware that these maps go back to the 1800s. Obviously, you'd want to choose the most recent one. Then you simply download the map in the format you want. I chose PDF. Once the PDF has downloaded, open it and zoom in on the area that is relevant to your hike and take a screenshot of it. Then simply print it off. You should be aware that many of the trails in the Smokies might be on sections of 2 or more contiguous USGS maps, in which case you'll need to download all the relevant maps. The maps that include parts of the Smokies that I've reviewed are very detailed and include roads, trails, shelters, campsites, streams, points of interest, and obviously topography. If you want to save some money and print off your own maps rather than buy them at the bookstore or online, this website is extremely useful. Recently, I decided to review some of the maps that included the Smokies from the late 1800s, long before the park was established. Those maps were not very detailed, but they revealed some very interesting information. Cades Cove was on the maps, but it was called Cade Cove in some years. There were very few roads, mostly on the periphery of what is now the park. Some of the streams on the maps actually have different names today. I wonder who changed them and why. The parts of the old maps that were marked Great Smoky Mountains included only the highest peaks, essentially where the Appalachian Trail runs through the park today, and some nearby peaks. Townsend, Tennessee was on the map, but it was called Tuckaleechee. Gatlinburg, Tennessee was not on the map in 1886, but it was in 1893. Cherokee, North Carolina was on the map, but it was called Oconaluftee. Well, enough about that. Now on to the hike. Grotto Falls is a 25-foot waterfall and is one of the most popular waterfalls in the park due to its close proximity to Gatlinburg and easy access off the Roaring Fork Motor Nature Trail. I've also seen a small display on this hike in the Sugarlands Visitor Center, so the bottom line is the trail might be busy today. The Roaring Fork Motor Nature Trail is a 5.5-mile one-way road that is designed in such a way that you can remain in your car and see streams, cabins, a gristmill, and beautiful old-growth forests. It's almost always crowded. For those who want to get out of their car and explore, there are many opportunities to tour the buildings or go on short or long hikes to waterfalls and even hike all the way to Mount LeConte if you have time and you have the inclination. Popular sites to visit include the Bud Ogle Farm, Rainbow Falls, which I covered on Season 2, Episode 9, Grotto Falls, Basking Creek Falls, the Place of 1,000 Drips, the Ephraim's Bales Place, the Jim Bales Place, Alfred Reagan's Place. There's a lot to see on this loop. In the old days, this area was known as Spruce Flats and was first settled by the Bales family in 1830. The trailhead for today's hike can be found on the Roaring Fork Motor Nature Trail. It's actually an access trail to get to Trillium Gap Trail. To get to this road, you'll need to enter the park through Gatlinburg. In crowded and congested Gatlinburg on US 441, turn onto Airport Road. FYI, there's no airport on Airport Road. Strange. This road will turn into Cherokee Orchard Road. Eventually, Cherokee Orchard Road turns into a one-way road. Continue on the road until you reach Roaring Fork Motor Nature Trail, and then turn right onto that road, which is also a one-way road. Continue on that road until you reach the Grotto Falls / Trillium Gap Trailhead. What can lead to some confusion is that there's another trailhead to Trillium Gap at the parking area for Rainbow Falls off of Cherokee Orchard Road. If you hike from there, you'll add some mileage to this hike. The parking area only has a few spaces and is about 1/10 of a mile from the trailhead. The Trillium Gap Trail is one of several trails that eventually lead to Mount LeConte. But my hike today will be less than 3 miles round trip, unless I have to park somewhere else and walk a long way to the trailhead. To avoid that, I plan to start really early today, which, by the way, is a weekday. Usually the parking is much worse on the weekends. When I start my hike today, I'll hike about 0.15 miles on the access trail and then turn left when it intersects with the actual Trillium Gap Trail. At about 1.2 miles, I should pass an impressive cascade. The falls is only a short distance further. Like almost all streams in the Smokies, there's supposed to be a lot of salamanders in this stream. During my short hike today, I expect to cross over several streams and through still standing areas of an old-growth forest. As I reach the falls, I'm supposed to be able to go behind the waterfalls, which should be a very unique and cool perspective. The total length of today's hike should be about 2.6 miles with an elevation gain of less than 600 feet, so it should be an easy hike. It's nice to take an easy hike occasionally. Trail conditions should be good, but it could be muddy if there's been recent rain in the area. Well, that's all for now. I'll catch you on the halftime report. Okay, it's time for the halftime report. So that was some audio of Grotto Falls, which was pretty cool. I'll tell you more in a minute. Because of the weather, I decided to record the halftime report from the heated comfort of the Goosemobile. So that's where I am right now. I arrived shortly after sunrise this morning to the small parking area, and the parking area was almost full. I think there were 2 spaces left. I pulled in one of them. Immediately somebody else pulled in the other. And this was all shortly after sunrise. There is a facility there, an outhouse, which is nice. Well, if you like outhouses, that is. I am kind of surprised that the parking lot was so full, considering that this is off-season it's a rainy day and it's a weekday, you know. So anyway, so when I arrived, I had been looking at the forecast. It was a cool day, and there was a forecast that it would likely rain, so I came prepared for that. But it wasn't raining yet. So I decided I was going to hike anyway, rain or not, and started to rain just as I approached the trailhead. So I had to stop there and put on my rain gear and put the rain cover on my pack and so forth. And then almost immediately after that, I saw a bear up close and personal. He was only about 10 yards away, and he just walked right across the trail right in front of me. He was in a hurry and had a little time to spare for me, either to look at me or give me any trouble. He just pretended like I wasn't there. But that was pretty cool to see him that close. He was a pretty big bear, too. The trail is very well maintained. It's a nice trail. There's lots of steps. It's very wide. So I think in general, as far as trail conditions, this is a good trail. I would rate it. During the hike, I crossed several small streams. They were very easy to cross because they had placed essentially like large flat boulders as a way to cross them quite easily. It must have been no small job to do that. As I continued up the trail, the rain got harder and harder. So at that point, the rain gear wasn't doing a huge amount of good. I had to crawl over a very large down tree. I mean, we're talking one of them old growth trees was dead and fell over in the trail. I had to literally crawl over it to continue on my hike. That was about halfway up the trail. Made my way, continued on the trail, made my way by the Cascades, and almost immediately after that, I was at Grotto Falls. So the trail actually goes behind the falls. So to hike the trail, if you were, say, going all the way to Mount LeConte, you would pass under the falls. So it was very cool. I got a great video from behind the falls that I'll post on my Instagram account, and I'll give you more info there later on in the episode. And I'll also put my Instagram handle on the show notes. So as I was there and was done finishing the video and the audio that you just heard, started to rain even harder. So at that point I decided, I really don't want to record the halftime report at halftime. I'd rather do it from the heated comfort of the Goosemobile. So that's what I'm doing. So the trail was actually very busy today. I was surprised. I told you about the parking lot being full, but there were a lot of other people that apparently parked elsewhere because there were way more people on the trail than there were parking spaces. And it is surprising to me given the off season and being a weekday and it being a rainy day. So this is a very popular trail, even in bad conditions at what you think would be the most optimal time. So just be aware, if you ever come here, you need to get here very early and grab you a space while you can. As I headed back and I approached where the big tree was, I could hear chainsaw in the distance. And as I got closer and closer, I came up on a work crew of 3 fellows with a chainsaw, and they were cutting as best they could that giant tree out of the way. My guess is they're going to cut a big hole in it because either end of the tree is way too big to move without bringing some heavy equipment or something like that in. So anyway, if you're on the trail in the future, you'll probably see the big downed tree. So I finished off the hike rather quickly because it rained the whole time, and dried off a little bit, got in the car here in the Goosemobile, and am recording this. So that's the halftime report for today, and I'll catch you on the wrap up. It's time to wrap up this episode. After I stopped recording the halftime report, 2 wild turkeys walked slowly down the road next to the goosemobile. They weren't in a hurry and seemed to have no fear of my vehicle. This is very unlike the turkeys that I frequently see on my property, who are extremely flighty at the first sign of a human or a car. I've even seen turkeys awkwardly run and flap their large wings until they're able to fly away when spooked by something. Yes, turkeys can actually fly. But these 2 today seem to have no fear of cars or humans. I even rolled down my window and spoke to them, but they ignored me. Very brave turkeys indeed. Today's hike was a wet one. Good thing I had a towel in the goosemobile to dry off a bit. While I did get wet, I enjoyed today's hike to Grotto Falls on the Trillium Gap Trail in the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. Today, the trail was muddy due to the steady rain, and in some places the trail even turned into a stream, but that would not be the case on a nice day. I would consider this a short and easy hike. My total out and back mileage was only 2.5 miles, and the total elevation gain was only 656 feet. That's not bad for the Smokies. I think that most people would enjoy this hike. In fact, I did see a family with a couple of small children on the trail today. Those were some tough, rain-resistant kids. Please be aware that the Roaring Fork Motor Nature Trail, which is where you access the trailhead for this hike, is closed from November 30th through April 18th each year. So this is not a winter hike. If you enjoy this podcast, please subscribe to it and give it a good rating on the podcast platform that you use. The algorithms look for that, and it helps to expand listenership, which helps me to spread the word about this podcast. Also, please recommend it to your friends who enjoy hiking and outdoor adventures. If you like it, they'll probably like it too. Photos and a video taken during today's hike can be found on Instagram, where my name is Goosa Hikin. That's GOOSEAHIKIN. A final thought. As always, enjoying the great outdoors is most certainly enjoyable and fun. But please don't engage in strenuous physical activities that are beyond your capabilities or your physical condition. Make sure you're familiar with the wildlife you could encounter on your journey so you can be prepared. Also, make sure that you wear weather-appropriate clothing, which came in handy today. Carry an emergency medical kit, water, and a map, and always stay on the trail.